Well, hello everybody. How y'all doing? Once again, it's William Davis. I'm live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I didn't do Instagram this time for some reason, but it's okay. Essentially, what we're talking about tonight is Black History Month. Why it's so important to me, and what makes it different for me. And this is from a perspective of a conversation I had with my father. So when I think I was 21, 22 years old. I started management and became a director and a whole bunch of other cool positions. And my father told me to start reading, learning, and finding people who look like me to be mentored with. And I did. I found some pretty cool people over time that made me better, made me stronger. And I did the focus and honored my father and his wishes. Now, let's be real. My father and I didn't always see eye to eye on things at that time. It's hell, I'm a grown man now. We don't always see eye to eye. But I'm doing this message for him and for my sons. When I talk to my elders, they speak of times like right now that we're going back to the KKK times. We're going back to the oppression, the segregation, and everything else. And for me, business is where you separate strength and weakness in this country. Because everything in the government was set up around business. If you don't own a business, you don't own something, you don't control something. If you don't control something, you're controlled by it. And that's what I was learning when it came to business and the effects of that business has on so many different aspects of our life. And I always look for people in positions who were not fake management. And if you don't know what that means they're not fake in their position. That means they're not someone who is just could be could make a decision, but they need six other people to make a decision for them before they can make one. And as I got mentored and everything else, following the tutelage of my father and standing on the shoulders of a man who couldn't do the things I do, which is couldn't just be a business owner, couldn't be all the rest without all the drama and everything from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, 30 years from that point. It's almost 25 years since I went into management um, it, or ownership. It was weird, hearing and talking to him. So let's going to start this first off with, and then I'm going to go to the next. First off, my name is William Davis. I am the owner of A.P.C Photography. I will be changing the name. I'll keep A.P.C Photography open, but I will be adding a new DBA to encompass all of our new features. But I am an owner. I've also been a director. I've answered to GMs, owners, and have moved up the corporate chain in management, been district manager candidate, area trainer, director, two-time business owner, a direct answer to the owners of businesses such as Magic Toyota, Honda of no, it was Nissan of Kirkland, and another dealership, and it was a used car dealership. It's much smaller, but that's what I've been. And as a young black man who's around 48 now, I've had the privilege and the pleasure of helping at least 30 families go from not having a great income to middle class or higher based off my name and based off the ability to make decisions similar to in the decision I wanted to as to where they were coming in and what management position they were coming in. So that's what I have under the belt. There's a few other things, but I don't want to toot the horn or anything. I want to start there and be the first of the black business owners and decision maker positions. And my mentor taught me that. He was the owner of Magic Toyotas and Michael's Toyotas, and one of the first lessons he gave me when I became an owner in 2017, I was talking to somebody in Florida in 2018 about doing a job, and he reminded me before I had that conversation with him, you are speaking to the owner of that company, and you are the owner of your company. If he treats you anything less than that, do not allow it, and treat him as the owner with that courtesy and respect, and make the expectation that comes back to you. It was one of the biggest lessons of my life when it came to running a business, to be very respectful and honorable to the people who are willing to give you the conversation, but at the same time to let them know where you're at and hold that title with dignity and respect. And speaking of titles of dignity and respect, let's talk about Kirk Meade. He is a chief executive and strategy leader, uh, equity center transformation. Not only that, his career, this is all public that you can find this on LinkedIn anytime you look. So this is just people that you could find there. Chief strategist for the Carrington Group, which is amazing. Founder and CEO of a strategic advisory firm. He was a director and stakeholder. He was a director in development communications, and he was assistant vice president of a bank. If you wanted to see someone that could match, let me get it. Let me go back to this. If you want to see someone who could be a vision of where you want to be and who is black and brown, this is a good vision portion right here. This is one of them. This is black history that is now, that's present, that stands on the black history that we look to grow on. So that's one. I'm going to add another one in here. Unfortunately, to do it, I have to do the stop the screen share, and then grab another one. So I have to switch scenes every single time. So, Vaughn Taylor. All right, impact. Vaughn Taylor. He is the Vice President of Economic Development for Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. This is a pretty awesome position. I like seeing that. He has also been a CDFI program officer, director of business development. He's also been a director of marketing and leasing. All these positions are really great positions that you could have if you went and got your education as a black man or woman, and put you in decision-making positions and also allow you to become a mentor and be powerful in your community. Vaughn's a great example of that, and this is just another position and another person in that same way. We're going to go to our next one. Be patient with me here. Renard Jenkins, founder, senior executive, fractional CTO. Let's be real here. These are great positions. President and CEO of A2 Technology Studios and Labs, which is pretty awesome. He's a CEO. He was once a senior vice president in production integrations and creative technology services for Warner Brothers Discovery. What? Warner Brothers and Discovery? A senior vice president at Warner Brothers. That is so cool. He was also at Warner Media, vice president of content transmission, and that's awesome. And at PBS, he was a vice president, too, of PBS operations, engineering, and distribution. Thank you to everyone who allowed us to stand on shoulders like Renard Jenkins is. If you want to know why I have faith in what we can do and how powerful we can build our communities, 9 years. 1 year, another year here. So this ended up being like two or 3 years, and now we're at 3.5 years here. That's almost 2 decades of full decision making. Wait, I think it's even longer than that, because this gentleman was at 2010. So he got into directing positions pretty quick and decision-making positions pretty quick. Look at that. A decade and a half plus of decision-making positions in big companies that are global companies, and also built something on his own. This is black history coming to life. I don't know how else to put it. This is amazing. I got more for you. Trust me, I got more. Now, this isn't like the super exciting thing, and I wish I had like a millions of people following at this point, because this would be a pretty cool one to show off. We're going to look at another one. These are all available to look at on LinkedIn. So you can look these people up on LinkedIn. These are publicly available where you can see them. Let's see. We're going to go. The next one is going to be. Oh, yeah. We about to get into a good one here. I love everything this person has done, and this is for my sister, my nieces, and all the rest. This what this one's for. Stacy Ybarra, Chief Marketing Officer. Look at that. This beautiful black woman has done these things. So she's the Chief Marketing Officer at Lighthouse. She was also the Vice President of Marketing. So both positions were direct decision positions, a powerful position in the C-suite and in decision making. It gets even better. She also was a Vice President and Senior Director for 8 years before. So we were looking at almost 17 years. 17 years of direct leadership in direct decision making positions, period. Beautiful. I love this. Once again, standing on black history and elevating black history. I love this. All right, I got one more for you. This live stream is really just to kind of give grace and give, announcement to people who've done really cool things. This is going to be my last one of the night. This is a quick little stream, but this was in honor of my father who asked me where I was coming from and where I was thinking from. Well, this last one is going to be, kind of my wheelhouse. But I wanted to, this is more for my father than anyone else. This is what I learned from you. Find these people who stood on the history of other black men and women and elevated and went further than where we were in the 50s, in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and just kept growing. So the next one here, James Gilmore, award-winning director and storyteller. This guy's pretty cool. American Heritage and Lending, LLC, director of video, senior director. Can make decisions on what we're going to be doing for video productions at a pretty high level at a lot of cool companies. And he's been doing this one for a couple months here. Has been at this video production for like 4 years. He's been a producer and has been award-winning. And that's under my alley. And I know as a producer, you get to make decisions that others can't make. And moving on the way up. But I just wanted to share some of this tonight because this is Black History Month. But to me, my history, when I look at black history, is I saw people like Denzel. I saw people like a few other black business owners and a very scarce amount of people who were in C-suite and was like, I'm going to try to catch them. I was 21 years old. I turned my life around and I ended up working for a company called Radio Shack, which is now defunct. I became a real GM, which meant I had to actually run the P&L head to toe in a store. And I was pushed into the district manager candidate position at 22 years old. Tons of awards and stuff like that. Flew down to Texas where they have you actually go through full GM trainings and everything else. And then we come back and you run stores and then you learn how to do training of people, scheduling and all the rest, learn the costs, learn to do contracts, learn contract laws, all those things. And now I learned that at 21, 22 years old. Then I got moved into an area training position and then I had DVPs, VPs, and regional directors saying, hey, how you doing? We're looking to promote you. Had a snafu in my career. Had I listened to my father, I probably would have been further in my career on that side of it versus being a business owner. But, either way, it's come out really great. And it's interesting. When I went into those rooms the first time, I was alone. And I want you to hear this quite a bit. Every one of the people I showed you today are around my age. And we were never as alone as our fathers and our grandfathers, our mothers and our grandmothers as they were taking the steps to allow me to have a platform to stand on, to move into real GM positions, real ownership positions, real decision-making positions. Because I can remember how lonely I was the first time I was in a GM meeting, and there's 30 GMs there. Got their own stores, they got their own thing. They have between $750,000 to $1.5 million worth of annual sales that they're responsible to produce inside of a location with an average sale ticket of $25. So you figure that out. You got to figure out how to bring in revenue. I was lucky my store was sitting right around 30, so I automatically got gains over everybody else. But that was hard work. I worked hard to get there, and my team did too. But I got to tell you, it was lonely when you're in a meeting, and then when you go to the regional meeting and you're the only one there. And really came down to it, by the time I was in the Pacific Northwest, so I didn't realize how alone I was until I got there. And what helped me get through it, to stay in management, to stay in a leadership position, which I really wasn't strong enough, was just listen to my father's words and listen to my mother's words, stand on a legacy. And that's really what it comes down to right now. There's a lot of things that are going on right now that are, let's just say, not so advantageous to what people want it to be, and not as much of the I'm happy, go lucky type thing. But I can say this much. In our community, we have moved up quite a bit. We now are standing at a precipice of being not just in the decision C-suite, not just in the board of directors, not just in ownership, in areas, but we're now at the ownership phase. Our next set of history is going to be, our next present that will be history will be us moving from 3% of all the businesses in the United States to matching our population, which is 14% of the population. We will hit 14% of every business there is. That is my personal goal to help out with over the next 25, 30 years. I'm 48 years old. I plan on being here till I'm, good 80, 85, 90. And I want to have a legacy to give my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren. I want my wife to be happy with me. I want my mother, when she looks down from heaven, to be happy with me. I want my father to go, that's my son. And I want Big Daddy, Big Mama, Tim Mama, Medea, Mr. Slim, all to look down and be happy. My grandfather, who I was named after, Bill Cameron, to be happy that I brought him a legacy and in the family. And I want to be my community's Black history. And I want someone else to be saying a message like what I'm saying right now, that you're standing on my history as an owner, as someone who built out multiple businesses and helped others build their businesses, to do that. And part of my legacy is, if you've ever worked with me, especially as a signed-in contract with me, I always require you to have a business. And the reason why I'm doing that, this is to follow the history of what we had in Tulsa. This is to follow the history of what we had in Georgia, in Louisiana, and other cities. Now, we couldn't document our businesses the way we used to, the way they're supposed to be now. But back then, we couldn't. It wasn't as easy. And some places just wouldn't allow us to get the licenses, but we still run a business. And when it did, it wasn't made easy. But I stand on the legacy of those people there that worked there, off to make that possible. And I'm proud of the legacy we have in our Black communities and our brown communities of the greatness then. And as we have, over the last 30 years, 40 years, with education and with colleges, with HBCUs, and with business development, small business centers have been slowly building up businesses, I think it's time for us to take that next level and stand on the history of our Black heritage. It's time to start owning businesses, start developing, even if it's just a business that's running 10, 20, or $30 million. And I know that sounds like a lot, but let's be real. For all of us who've been in the businesses that were running 100 million or more revenue, that's when you start to get a business. And I put this in simpler terms. I mean, if we were a software company here in Seattle and we hired only 50 people and we gave them $150,000 plus all the benefit packages and all the taxes that come with it, we're looking at almost $10 million right there. I mean, it sounds insane, but that's 10 million. That's just labor. 10 million, baby. By the time it's said and done, 10 million. And if we add the taxes on top to make that 10 million, that's really $15 million of revenue that has to come in the door without a $0 in profit for the company. And that doesn't even include rent, where we're going to put them, the internet, and all the rest of that. So when I talk about building legacy and building businesses, I am sincere. I want to see us running software companies. I want to see us running IT companies. I want to see us running AI companies. I want to see us running the new manufacturers that are becoming in the United States. We should have the real estate companies. We should have all the rest of that. And we can by standing on our black heritage. And I'm very proud of everything. And the people I point out today are all incredible people. And if you look through LinkedIn, if you are a young man or woman, or if you are an older man and woman who want to see where we've gone with our legacy, go into LinkedIn and just start looking for VPs, CMOs, board directors, and look for someone who looks like you and be proud. If you're older, this person stood on your legacy, stood there and was proud to be there. I mean, what more could we ask for? Let me go back to one of the examples here because it's really important. I mean, if we're going to talk about this, let's bring this example back up. Chief Marketing Officer. If you are a woman out there and you want to look up someone who's doing something, there you go. Chief Marketing Officer out here in Seattle, in a place where we're only 6% of the population. She's a Chief Marketing Officer. I couldn't tell you anything better than that. And that's standing on the legacy of our history. So that's what I got to talk about. And I think we can do it. This was one of those moments where I wanted to really speak out to my father. And then I will be sending this link to my father. Why it keeps doing the double clicks, I don't know. I think I got to figure out what's going on with this system here. This is for you, Father. I wanted you to see that I saw what you said, used it, and utilized it. And I was 21 years old, didn't know what I was doing. I was stupid. But I at least listened. And I spent 5 years building up a business career. And then I went back to political fundraising. And then I went back into sales. And then within 3 years, built a strong enough reputation that only GMs and owners hired me. And there really was only a couple of positions I could go from there. It was either director of finance, director of my own department, GM, or GSM. I wasn't going to go to the desk because that just wasn't my thing to do. I wanted real positions with real decision making. That being said, it was fun talking to y'all. Like I said, this is more for my father than anybody else. So everybody have a good night. Bye.